Hi, I'm Rob Johnstone, and I built this little tray to demonstrate how easy it is to get into woodworking. I got all of these pieces of wood from Rockler.com. They come cut to length and thickness. The middle one is wood called Padauk, and the rest of them are black walnut. If you don't care for these particular species, Rockler has a whole bunch to choose from. Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is cut the 3/4 by 5 inch by 24 inch piece of wood to 18 inches in length. I'm going to use a handsaw, but you could use a jigsaw or a chop saw if you have them. Next, I'm going to cut the 3-inch wide pieces down to 16 inches in exactly the same manner that I just cut the wider piece. Now, to add shape to the pieces, I'm going to cut each end of these pieces at 45 degrees. I measure back 3 inches and draw a line. Then I cut the ends. Note, I'm again using a scrap piece to help me keep the saw at 90 degrees to the surface of the walnut. If you want to build this little tray, there's a downloadable PDF that includes a technical drawing, a material list, and a list of all the Rockler products that you need to make the build. You can find out more about it in the details below. Now it's time to glue this thing together. Measure 1 inch down from each side of one end of the centerpiece. Apply a thin coat of glue to each of the edges that will be clamped together. Position the walnut pieces on the Padauk using the marked location as a guide. Clamp the pieces together and let the glue cure. Be careful they don't move around. Let the glue cure for at least an hour. With the glue cured, now we need to sand the surface. You can do that with a sander, but to prove my point that you don't need power tools, I will do it by hand. For the first coarse grits, 60, 80, and 100 grits, I sand at opposing angles. I sand just enough to remove the previous grits' sanding marks. From 120, 150, and 180, I sand with the grain. With that task done, and yes, it would have been way faster with a random orbit sander, now it's time to move on to cutting some handles and drilling some holes. Start by cutting the handles to length as before. Then shape the corners, also with the handsaw. Measure in 3/4 from the bottom of the handle piece and 3/4 in from the sides. Mark the spot to drill your holes. Go ahead and drill your holes. Use the drilled handle to transfer the hole location to the second handle. Drill those holes. Use the handles to transfer the peg locations to the tray blank. With those steps done, we're going to do a couple of tricky things to make the next steps even easier. First, cut a couple of additional small pieces off of the 1/4 inch walnut. Hold them together and drill a hole through both of them and set them aside. Now, wrap a piece of masking tape around your drill bit at just about a 1/2 inch or a little less. Take the 2 pieces of walnut, slide a peg through them, and clamp them together. Then, clamp the clamp to the table. Now comes the magic. Use the walnut pieces to register the cut on 4 pegs. Hold the end of the peg and use the saw to cut it to length. Those are for the handles. Now, cut the remaining pegs for the feet, but this time using only 1 thickness of walnut. Super easy. We're almost done. Next, we need to quickly sand the handles smooth and round the edges over a little bit as you go. Then drill the holes for the handle pegs. Use the masking tape as a depth gauge. Flip the blank over, mark the positions of the feet, and drill the holes. Now put some glue in the footholes and insert the foot pegs. Flip the tray over and set it down on the work surface. Put something heavy on the tray and let the glue cure for 15 minutes or so. Now, finally, it's time to attach the handles. Put some glue in the peg holes and just a dab of glue in between them. Put pegs in the handle and put the whole thing in place. With the pegs and the handles in place, put a scrap board over the top of the assembly and grab that heavy thing again. Let the glue cure for an hour or so. Ta-da! Now you have a tray with handles. You could leave the wood raw, but I prefer using something like this Watco Danish oil to put a nice finish on it. But the important thing is that now you're a woodworker. I'm Rob Johnstone from Woodworkers Journal. Thank you for watching.